The Amityville Moon is a werewolf horror movie. The movie takes place in a rehabilitation center where a priest and a couple nuns run it, and they basically rehabilitate women who have just gotten out of prison and jail, and they make sure that they are good before they go back to society, and they kind of give them, something to believe in, like faith. Well, there's more than meets the eyes to this rehabilitation center, as there's a dark secret werewolf. Turns out lots of women come up missing from this rehabilitation center, and all fingers point towards the werewolf that lingers around the premises. And it's kind of like a mystery in a sense to figure out who the werewolf is because they don't really show it to the end. And that's about the movie. So, my review of the Amityville Moon. Well, very confused why it even has Amityville in its name, as it has nothing to do with the Amityville at all. Also, unfortunately, the werewolf does not nearly look as cool as it does on the cover. Classic shenanigans. So that was saddening. Just in general, this movie wasn't good. To just poor writing, to a lot of boring parts that needed to be cut out the movie. There were some upsides to it, as the actresses that were playing like the rehabilitated women were pretty good. Some of them were like really good actresses, and you could definitely tell this was like a movie that probably allowed them to show off like their acting chops and maybe get future movies that are a lot better than this one. So there's that. Another thing that was pretty cool, which was probably the only thing pretty cool about the practical effects and the kills, was the dragging. Like, what I mean by that, it was like when they were like hiding and they were on the ground and the werewolf would drag them. That was pretty good. And I assume that this movie just suffered from a low budget. So for what they had, it wasn't horrible. And near the end, it was halfway decent. I mean, I've seen worse movies, but I've also just seen tons and tons of movies that are just way better. And honestly, this movie is massively carried by the acting of some of the actresses. If it wasn't for their good performance, this movie would have easily been horrible. They definitely did pretty well. That's the only real good takeaway from this movie. It's just super boring in the beginning, and when it does actually get to like the werewolf stuff, it's just low budget. It isn't like the lowest budget, but it's not high budget at all. So with that being said, my recommendation for the Amityville Moon. This is just in a weird spot for me. It's like a coin flip. Heads is, I want to say skip it, and tails is, I want to say not recommended, because the beginning is like, man, skip this movie. But then the end is like, it wasn't halfway bad, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. So I guess just all in all, I would say it's just not recommended, as it was partly entertaining, and you can see maybe some up and coming actresses act their ass off. So I would say not recommended. Slap the sticker. Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a halfway decent watch if you do end up watching it.